Okay. Well, let's see. Oh, Krishna. Right. So, Bhakti and Talia, are you a singer? Have you led kirtan before? Yes. Sometime. You know, well, I guess the easiest, if you got the words, is Tulsi Kirtan, because it's the shortest. Otherwise, Mangalarati or Guru Puja or Jai Radha Madhava. You know the words for Jai Radha Madhava. Do you want to sing Jai Radha Madhava? Okay. Come and get the cutouts. Okay. Well, she can play. Yeah. Thank you. Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Gopi Jana Ballava Giribharad Hari Gopi Jana Ballava Giribharad Hari Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Raja Janaranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Jai Radha Madhava Kunjabi Hari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Radha Natha, Radha Radha Natha, Radhe. Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan, Giri Govardhan. Gora Hare, Gora Hare, Gora Hare, Gora Hare. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Jai Vishnubhat Paramahamsa Parivrajacharya Tadasi Samad His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki ISKCON's founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Shri Radha Radhanath Ki Shri Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Caitanya Mahaprabhu Ki Sankirtan Yagya Ki Go Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. That was nice. So we've got two new kirtan singers. Rukmini's mother and you. It's nice. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 2, Daksha curses Lord Shiva, verses, as I understand, 17 and 18. Am I right? Yes. I am right? Okay. All right. Okay, and on your sheets, I assume it's verse 18, is it? 18 or 17? Oh, both. Really? Okay. Both 17 and 18. Okay, well, let's just do 17, seeing it's the first one. Maitreya Ruvacha Vinindhyaivam Sa Girisham Apratipam Avastitam Daksho Tapa Upasprisya Krudha Shaptum Prachakrame Maitreya Uvacha Vinindhyaivam Sagirisham Apratipam Avastitam Dakshotapa Upasprishya Kruta Shaptum Prachakrame Maitreya Uvacha Vinindhyaivam Sagirisham Apratipam Avastitam Dakshotapa Upasprishya Kruta Shaptum Prachakrame Maitreya Uvacha Vinindhyaivam Sagirisham Apratipam Avastitam Dakshotapa Upasprishya Kruta Shaptum Prachakrame
Maitreya Vacha Vinidhyaivam Shagirisham Apratipam Avashtitam Dakshotapa Upasprishya Kruda Saptum Prachakrame
Upasprishya Shaptam Prachakrame Chagirisham Pratipam Maitreya Uvacha Maitreya said, Vinindhya, abusing, evam, thus, sa, he, Daksha, Girisham, Shiva, Apratipam, without any hostility, Avastitam, remaining, Daksha, Daksha, Ata, now, Apa, water, Upasprishya, washing hands and mouth, Krudha, angry, Shaptam, to curse, Prachakrame, began to. The sage Maitreya continued. Excuse me. Translation. The sage Maitreya continued. Thus, it's okay. Relax. Hearing, let us hear. So, yes, the sage Maitreya continued. Thus Daksha, seeing Lord Shiva sitting as if against him, washed his hands and mouth and cursed him in the following words. Okay, so verse 18. And this is, well, the beginning of the curse. It's, well, actually, it is the curse. This is the curse. Verse 18. So let's see. Ayam tu deva yajana Indro Pendra Dibya Bhava Sahabhagam Nalabatam Devar Deva Ganadama. So this is now Daksha. This is his curse. This is it. The demigods are eligible to share in the oblations of sacrifice, but Lord Shiva, who is the lowest of all the demigods, should not have a share. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Because of this curse, Shiva was deprived of his share in the oblations of Vedic sacrifices. It was due to the curse of Daksha. Sri Vishnath, It was due to the curse of Daksha, Sri Vishnath Chakravarti comments in this connection, that Lord Shiva was saved from the calamity of taking part with other demigods who are all materialistic. Lord Shiva is the greatest devotee of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it is not fitting for him to eat or sit with materialistic persons like the demigods. Thus, the curse of Daksha was indirectly a blessing, for Shiva would not have to eat or sit with other demigods who were too materialistic. This is a practical, there is a practical example set for us by Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who used to sit on the side of a latrine to chant Hare Krishna. Many materialistic persons used to come and bother him and disturb his daily routine of chanting. So to avoid their company, he used to sit by the side of a latrine where materialistic persons would not go because of the filth and the obnoxious smell. However, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was so great that he was accepted as the spiritual master of such a great personality as His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad, Sri Srimad, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj. The conclusion is that Lord Shiva behaved in his own way to avoid materialistic persons who might disturb him in his prosecution of devotional service. Well, that's interesting, isn't it? So I'll just read both these verses again. Maitreya Rivacha, Vinindhyaivam Sigirisham Apratipam Avastitam Dakshataparupasprishya Kruta Shaptum Prachakrame. The sage Maitreya continued, thus Daksha, seeing Lord Shiva sitting as if against him, washed his hands and mouth and cursed him in the following words. Ayam tu deva yajana, Indro pendra de bia bava, sahabhagam nalabatam, devar deva ganadama. The demigods are eligible to share in the oblations of sacrifice, but Lord Shiva, who is the lowest of all the demigods, should not have a share. That's essentially the curse of, he's already criticized him and blasphemed him and like that, but this is now he's pronouncing a specific curse so that a curse means something will happen to the person being cursed. And in this case, Lord Shiva, what will happen is that when sacrifices, Vedic demigod sacrifices are performed, Lord Shiva will not get his share of the oblations, the different things which are offered by mystical process of the Supreme Personality of Godhead and the demigods. When qualified demigod worshippers, they're qualified as demigod worshippers, when they offer oblations into the fire, offer different things, then they are distributed by a mystical process to the demigods who are in the universe in different places. But according to Daksha, Lord Shiva will no longer, not just this sacrifice, but he'll no longer get oblations. At least that's what Daksha wants. Yeah. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharani Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschityadesh Tarne Sri Krishna Chaitanya Pramanichananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Yes, so Lord Shiva, he is addressed here, at least in verse 17, as Girisham, which means the Lord. Ultimately, it really means the Lord of the Himalayas, or the Lord of the mountains, you could say in a broad sense, but more specifically, the Lord of the Himalayas is Lord Shiva. And in that context, his wife is Parvati. Parvat meaning mountain. And the Himalayas are the greatest mountains. So she's Parvati. She's the queen of the Himalayas, and he's the Lord of the Himalayas. So it's interesting that Daksha, as Prabhupada presents here, even though Daksha is just in a really terrible type of consciousness, it's such an offensive consciousness. It's shocking, completely shocking. You wouldn't expect such a thing from a demigod, even though they're prone to be materialistic, as Prabhupada points out here very clearly. But usually they have culture, some culture and some sort of character. But Daksha is just, you could say he's basically gone berserk, actually. Just lost control and entered into a horrible world, psychological world of anger. Elsewhere in the Bhagavatam, it's stated that anger, well, of course we know Lord Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita that lust and anger are inextricably linked together. One who has lust will have anger, and I mean, it's not necessary, particularly meaning a materialistic type of anger. Sometimes devotees have anger too, against demons or like that. But on the material level, one who has lust will have anger, and one who has anger, material anger, you can understand, aha, this person has lust. Doesn't just mean just like some tendency, but means they're actually into lust, and therefore they're showing anger. And what is said, though, interesting point, is that lust, I mean, that anger may be worse than lust. It may be worse because in the 4th canto, it's Swayambhuva Manu is instructing Dhruva, instructing Dhruva to stop being angry with yakshas. One yaksha killed the brother of Dhruva Maharaj, and as a result, Dhruva Maharaj decided to annihilate the yakshas. He didn't try to identify the one who had done this and, take him on, but he decided to just wipe out the race of yakshas, which was excessive. And so Swayambhuva Manu intervened and preached to him. And one of the things he said is this, that a person who desires liberation from this material world should not fall under the control of anger, because when bewildered by anger, one becomes a source of dread for all others. Yes. So to be angry is a result on the material level, and particularly if someone just becomes possessed by anger, then it's definitely showing that they have more problems than just being angry. Yes. Right, so Daksha, though, the thing is that despite, give him a cushion. Despite being a demigod, one of the Prajapatis, despite being one of the sons of Lord Brahma. This is such an exalted family. It's just amazing. The head of our sampradaya. So he's the son of such an exalted person. But still, he became so bewildered. But despite being so bewildered and angry and offensive and just, dreadful, really, it's really terrible, actually. But still he had such power, he could inflict this curse upon Lord Shiva, who is not an ordinary person. And of course, Daksha thought that in doing this, he is going to, teach Shiva a lesson. You disrespect me. You disrespect the great me. Me. Just see what happens to you. You will not get your share of these sacrifices. Ha ha ha. But as Prabhupada explains, Lord Shiva was happy. It was the mercy of the Lord. So he doesn't have to participate in the material oblations. It's not really, to call it prasad is not really the right thing, because prasad literally means mercy, and the only real mercy is Krishna consciousness. To get some mercy to help you become more Krishna conscious and get out of this material world, and to get some, remnants, shall we say, oblations from Vedic karma kandya sacrifices. These are not going to help you in Krishna consciousness. In fact, they will produce obstacles, because whatever Shakti they have through the process of sacrifice and being offered to different demigods in different ways, the Shakti is material. And so, therefore, for us as devotees, we go to some programs sometimes where people, Hindu people who are not devotees, have offered maybe some fruit, often it's fruit, to somebody in the course of the sacrifice, somebody, but not Lord Krishna. And even if it is offered to Lord Krishna, then they haven't offered it in some way in which Krishna will actually accept it, and then they offer it to us as, quote unquote, prasad. And we are definitely advised to not take it. Maybe to avoid upsetting them, you can take it but not eat it. And distribute it to Primrose. You know who Primrose is? She's the girl who's out all day, every day practically, where you come off the main highway onto the Higginson Highway, the African girl, and she's up and down. That's Primrose. I asked her a name the other day. We gave her some prasadam when we came from Verulam on Friday. She can give it to her. Yeah, be better than throwing it away. So, yes. So, this type of, remnants from one of these, unauthorized, and even if it were authorized, but in some way, but whatever is coming from it is not Krishna conscious, then one way or another we avoid. Sometimes devotees say, we are fasting today, Hari Bol, which may not be true. It's usually not true. So perhaps better to accept it and then distribute it to some other persons. Yes, so it's an interesting point that we are not interested in getting material mercy. I mean, in one sense, of course, any mercy can be dovetailed in the Lord's service. But for us, mercy means that which will help us progress in Krishna consciousness. So a very, very similar, actually it's basically the same type of situation occurred with Lord Caitanya. I forget the exact circumstances, but Lord Caitanya, some materialistic Brahmin cursed Lord Chaitanya, became upset with him for some reason. Don't know if anyone can remember the circumstances, but that materialistic Brahmin decided to curse Lord Caitanya, to give him a sort of a mean curse that you will not be able to enjoy material life. And if I remember correctly, Lord Caitanya thanked him. Because, as is described about the heavenly planets, that the residents of the heavenly planets, even though they're generally devotees, but they're very mixed devotees. In so many cases, they're very mixed, with strong tendencies to material enjoyment. And as a result, some of them get into very serious trouble, spiritually and materially for that matter, because of their material attachments. And therefore it's stated in the Bhagavatam that therefore many of them, at least those who have the clarity of mind and of thought, they pray to take birth in Bharatvarsha, because they know the opportunity for becoming Krishna conscious is so much better, even though materially it's so much worse than the heavenly planets. Yes. And therefore Prabhupada did make the point that it's possible that sometimes children who are born in the Krishna consciousness movement were such demigods. But now they've taken birth in Chatsworth, or Phoenix, or just somewhere in the material world. So yes, Lord Caitanya, he gave that example. It's very nice, and it's something we should be mindful of, that it's one thing to try to engage material things in the service of the Lord. That's very good, and we should try to engage the whole material world in the service of the Lord. But if there's some sort of affiliation with material existence in our minds, then that's another thing. Then there's a real danger of becoming contaminated. Or maybe you are already contaminated, if you're thinking in those terms. So yes. So therefore, as Prabhupada points out, the curse of Daksha was indirectly a blessing, for Shiva would not have to eat or even sit, with other demigods who were too materialistic. And of course, Srila Prabhupada, as we saw, gave the example of Srila Gokishore Das Babaji Maharaj, who was the spiritual master of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta, initiating spiritual master. and instructing also, and who was famous for being a very staunch materialist. And Prabhupada mentions here how he would sometimes sit by the side of a latrine, a toilet, and he did this deliberately, simply to put off materialistic people. Because the fact is that even in, shall we say, the Vedic tradition or traditions, in the traditions which are based upon the Vedic scriptures to one degree or another, the basic idea is that through performing whatever practice the people are involved in, which has its roots in the Vedic tradition, but they're doing it to get material things. That's why they're doing it in the vast, vast majority of cases. And therefore, our godbrother Dinabandhu Prabhu told us, after the last major Kumbh Mela, whenever that was, anyway, the last major Kumbh Mela, not the smaller ones, but the big ones, the very big ones, some years ago, he told us he went around visiting many of the different little, they have like tents where the different organizations and yogis and meditators and all these people, each one has their own type of spot with a tent. And he was going around just observing what's going on. And, you know, it's North India, so the main language is Hindi. And he understands Hindi fairly fluently. So he's listening to what was going on. You know, the visitors come in to meet the Swami or to meet whoever the people are there from that group. And Dinabandhu Prabhu came out and he told us that at the Kumbh Mela, everyone, means all the Swamis and all those people, he said everyone is a doctor and everyone is a financial advisor. That's what he said. Because that's what the people come in and ask for. Blessings for good health and financial prosperity. It was like really very, very dominant there. So everyone's a doctor and everyone's a financial advisor. Because everyone who comes, that's what they want. Because as far as they're concerned, religion, spirituality, religion means facility for those things. And I forget if it was Srila Prabhupada or Srila Bhaktisiddhanta said that they want to touch my feet because they think my toe is a blessings machine. You know, you press the button and you get whatever from the dispensing machine. So they think my toe is a dispensing machine. They'll get blessings for those things. And we were in Maritzburg on Sunday, and sure enough, one gentleman approached me and said, I got so many problems with my boss and my fellow workers and things like that. I told him to pray to Lord Nrsingadev. So yes, this is the thing, that this is so predominant. And Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, he developed a reputation because he was a great sadhu. So he developed a reputation as a great sadhu, and people would come to him. And the great majority would come to ask him for some such blessings. And therefore, well, as Prabhupada mentions here, there was at least, I don't know if it's the only case, but there's one case described in Srila Gaurkishore's biography, that a very nice devotee couple who had a dharamshala in Navadvip town, means a cheap hotel, or even free. So some parts are free, other parts you pay like a pittance, and you can stay there. So they had such a place for the sadhus, and they came and offered him that, will you please come and stay in our dharamshala, and we will prepare facilities for you as you like, whatever you want. We'll prepare a room and, whatever facilities you want. And you don't pay anything, and prasadam will be there, and you please come. We will be blessed if you do. And Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji responded, yes, I'll come. I'd love to come. And I will stay in the latrine. Hope you all know what latrine means. Yeah. I'll stay in the toilet. And he meant the general toilet, not some sort of, private one. And the couple, they said, no, we can't have that. We will give you all facilities, whatever facilities you want. And Srila Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj said, yes, that's what I want. And if you won't give it to me, just leave me alone. Just leave me. So they did. And he did. And he was living there. And anyway, so he was living there. And people wouldn't bother him. And he did a number of things related to that. He would live in the cremation ground. It's said, I don't know if it's really true, but it's said, anyway, I won't even mention it. But he would do things like that, go out of his way to induce people to want to avoid him, because he didn't want that sort of association of materialists. There was one incident. Well, there was one incident where a newly married couple, sort of devotee or something like devotees, came and asked for blessings. They just got married. And he told the husband, yes, my blessing is never eat your wife's cooking. Only eat what has been rejected by the animals. Yeah. And only sleep on the floor. That's my blessing. And the one time someone said, well, his assistant, he had an assistant who told him that someone's arrived. They want your darshan, and they will give 2 rupees. So Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj went into his hut, which had a door, and he said, tell me when he's there. So, okay, the fellow's here. Gaur Kishore Das Babaji Maharaj opened the door. Here I am, and closed it. That was it. You wanted darshan, you got it. So, yes, so like this, Lord Shiva behaved in certain ways to avoid material association. Actually, we mentioned the other day last week, how Lord Shiva's Ashutosh fulfills people's desires. People who come to him, with material desires, he quickly does that. And so therefore he's popular. He's popular amongst the demigod worshippers. And they feel he's merciful. But the fact is that Lord Shiva is, you see him sitting with his beads, chanting. And that's his enjoyment, that's his pleasure. But people come with their material desires to disturb him, but he knows he has to fulfill their desires, it's his duty. So as quickly as possible, he gives them, just take whatever you want, go on and go. So we can go back to his chanting. This is Lord Shiva. Whereas he himself lives in a state which would be considered, beyond poverty. I mean, less than poverty. Living under a tree with some animal skin. Yes, so like this is Lord Shiva, and Daksha, who's materialistic, thinks he's just punishing him. Take this, for disrespecting me, I'll teach you. But actually Lord Shiva is thinking, oh, this is good, thank you. Hare Krishna. Any comments or questions? Oh yes, go ahead.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, thank you for that wonderful talk. I was just reminded of Jada Bharat, who also behaved in the same way.
Who?
Jada Bharat.
Oh yes,
Yeah.
right.
So he behaved like dumb and deaf, and he didn't want anyone near him because he was fully absorbed in the Supreme Lord. So
Right.
yeah.
Jad Bharat, 5th canto, was also extreme renunciate, not interested in anything material. Yes, Swarup Damodar Prabhu.
Maharaj, we have these examples of Gaurakishore, Jada Bharata, who behaved in ways to keep away any disturbance from materialistic-minded people. But what should our example be, or what should our behavior be? It
Yes.
seems too far for us to go and live next to a latrine and act in ways to put people off.
Yeah, right. Well, the thing is, Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj, Jad Bharat, and Lord Caitanya, for that matter, in a certain sense, they were Bhajananandis. At least Lord Caitanya, at some point, he just withdrew into seclusion. But Gaurkishore Das Babaji Maharaj was a classic Bhajananandi. He didn't preach because he felt it was the people were just, well, whatever, for whatever reason, but he didn't preach much. He just kept to himself and kept chanting. So for people like that, and Jad Bharat was a similar idea, he just didn't want to get into bad association again, because he had learned his lesson from associating with the deer. So, yeah, he would act in antisocial ways. So for a Bhajananandi, that may be appropriate, it may be useful, but for preachers, we're not Bhajananandis. We are meant to be or be becoming Ghostyanandis. We're also meant to follow the example of Srila Prabhupada, who's our founder Acharya. So we're meant to preach. And we even read one of the days, last night, wasn't it? About how Prabhupada was relating with George Harrison and wealthy people. He was very careful, because our acharyas have told us not to get involved with materialistic and wealthy people. So if we do it, we must be careful. But Srila Prabhupada, as a preacher, as a world preacher, and wanting to influence the world, Srila Prabhupada was generally happy to accept whatever donations he could get. And, there's the famous story of Prabhupada being told about the one yogi, Swami type fellow who, if I remember correctly, was visiting America and doing his thing and trying to maintain a sort of a facade of extreme renunciation. So when people would offer him money, he would act like he's repelled. Take it away. Keep it away from me, sort of thing. I mean, really in an outspoken way. But Prabhupada, when he heard about that, he laughed. And he said, when people offer me money, and he gestured like he's taking it, I will take it all and use it in Krishna's service. So we should do that, but we should do it carefully, because we've got so many tendencies left over from our days in material life. But interesting little point. There were a few successful drug dealers in the early days of ISKCON. There was one in Australia. I mean, there was a number of them here and there. There was one in Australia who I knew, who was a devotee, but he was still a drug dealer. Yeah, and a very successful one. And he and his drug dealing associates would donate. And Prabhupada found out, and he said not to accept their donations because it's too heavily. I mean, any donations from non-devotees, any donations generally are tainted, but something like that, it's too heavily tainted. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. What? Sure.